We are live with the community. This is a Microsoft Power Platform community call for June 2024. This brings us to the halfway point of the year. Holy cow, everybody. How did this year go so fast? I guess time flies when you're having fun, right? And we are. So let's get in to talk about what's on our agenda. Well, first of all, you might notice that Shane's not here. Why is he not here? Well, Shane's got some notes from the field for us because Shane's literally on a field right now. His kids, his team, his soccer team for his children have won the semi-championship. So they are in the championship game right now. So Shane is on the field. He sends his well wishes to everybody, wants you to send your wishes out to his team. We just wanted to say congratulations to his team, but he did relay some notes that he wanted to share with everybody literally from the field. And he wanted to say, go Pilot, go Pilot, go Pilot. So he says that because I think it appears for him when he's on the field if he says it 3 times. But I just want to remind everybody, keep going on Copilot, get involved, learn how to use it. Don't be afraid of it. Embrace it. And they also want to remind everybody, and as well do I, the Power Platform Conference is coming up. We're just a few months away now. So if you haven't got registered, definitely do that. There's going to be some amazing presenters there, workshops. Shane's got one. He's got presentations. Hugo Bernier and myself have a workshop and a presentation. Lots of amazing presenters from the community. It's a great place to collaborate, and it's always going to be epic in terms of size and scale. So we welcome everybody. So Shane, all the best on your soccer team today in the championship, and we hope they win. Now, what's on the agenda for today? Community resources, community samples, and of course, picture time with together mode for everybody. So get those fantastic faces ready. And then we've got 3 incredible presenters of the day. So Angeliki is going to share how to build complex forms and views in Power Pages. Devendra is going to talk about environment routing, groups and rules, along with extending starter kit to automate managed environments creation. Ooh, mouthful, but it's going to be jam-packed. And then Anna's going to round it out with UX and the model-driven apps, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I don't know why I'm included in that. I'm the ugly, I think, right? But we'll figure it out. It's going to be awesome. Okay, let's talk about some resources that are available for everyone. We've got Microsoft Community Learning videos. Now, this is not a new YouTube channel, but it might be unfamiliar to you in that name, Microsoft Community Learning. What is that? That is our YouTube account. We'll talk more about it soon here. It's just had a renaming because, you know, at Microsoft, we do that best. We rename things together. So Microsoft Community Learning videos, and we've got our LinkedIn group for discussions powered by the community. This is a great place to interact with other like-minded folks and passionate individuals in the community. On LinkedIn, we've got open source tooling, sample galleries, Power Platform samples, Power Platform prompts, a plethora of Power Platform prompts. PPPPPP, right? So rolls right off the tongue. Open source initiatives available to everyone. Now, you don't need to remember every single one of these URLs. One and only will get you to all this goodness that is absolutely free of charge, and that is aka.ms/community/home. That'll give you access to all these resources absolutely free. And if it looks a little different to you, it's because it is. We rebranded, and so we've got Microsoft 365 and Power Platform Community. It's a great new look that kind of coincides with the branding of Microsoft, and it also includes color schemes that span the spectrum of all the technology that we use and love. So definitely go check it out. Big thanks to Stefan Bauer and Hugo Bernier. Hugo Bernier built it on Hugo. I think that was a requirement. It had to be Hugo on Hugo, and it looks great. And so we're going to be getting a lot of other sites ready to go and following this same design. It's so cool, in fact, that the upcoming events, if you were to go there right now, don't do it because you're here. But if you were, it would say this call is going on live right now. So it's extremely dynamic, very robust. It's a great way to learn about all the initiatives going on in the community. And we mentioned that new community, Microsoft Community Learning channel. It's new-ish, right? So it's the Microsoft Power Platform and Microsoft 365 Community channel has been renamed to Microsoft Community Learning because we wanted to embrace what its tenet and foundation is, which is you, the community. And so it's going to include even more community videos. It's going to span even more spectrum of technologies like Dynamics 365, and it's going to keep including the great things that we do on it now, like the community calls. So definitely go like and subscribe and smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. Now, if there's some Power Platform Pro developers out there, just want to remind you that the Power Platform Code First Developer Office Hours is every Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. So definitely get involved there. Mark Schweigert runs that, and we'll start leaning in more to kind of promote, help record, and host all of those coming soon. So we look forward to getting more people involved if they're interested in the Code First Power Platform Pro side of Power Platform development. So Mark's doing a great job. We're excited to partner with him and do some more great stuff. Of course, you may be watching these calls today and you're going to see these fantastic presenters. You're going to go, man, that's awesome. I'd love to present something. And we welcome you to. We absolutely encourage you to do that. We want you to be part of this community, and this is one of the ways that we empower you to do that. It is not something that you need to worry about that needs to show like how to cure world hunger or make time travel possible, right? Nope. It is absolutely welcome to everyone. So if you've got a cool solution or a demo, maybe you've got a pattern or a technique that you want to show off that you found useful, a snippet or collection of snippets that you find valuable in your day-to-day job, share it with the community. You may think, this is foundational stuff. Everybody already knows this. I promise you, they don't. They absolutely don't. So share with the community what you're doing. It's a great way to get involved. If you ever want to start speaking at events like user groups, perhaps conferences, this is a great way to get started as well. And we'll even buddy up with you. So if you need any support in building your presentation or crafting what it is that you're going to do and presenting it, we'll buddy up with you, provide you a buddy, an MVP, or a member of the community or a member of our team, and we will absolutely assist you along the way. It'll be awesome. So do not be afraid. We absolutely encourage everyone to reach out if they'd like to. Just fill out that link, ak.ms/community/request/demo. It's a long one, but it's well worth it. And the link's in the chat. And we will get back with you and cover everything together with you. All right, let's talk about some Power Platform samples and badges. So Kate is out. She's traveling this week, but we want to appreciate the samples that have been contributed. So our favorite Daniel Laskowitz has submitted Forum, and Manish Salanka has submitted send inline image in Teams channel. So all these samples are available at ak.ms/powerplatform-samples. Again, this is an open opportunity for anybody to contribute to the community. Just need to submit it through GitHub, those hub of gits, that Git of hubs. What is that thing though, you may be asking? This GitHub, it is very, very interesting. I'm not quite sure. We're here to help you with that as well. So Sharing is Caring is alive and well, and we're back scheduling sessions. What is Sharing is Caring? It's an initiative that we started that provides hands-on guidance. That means that we're going to join a live Teams call together. It's a safe space, which means we do not record it, so you can feel free to ask any and all questions that you like. But together, we're going to walk through actually submitting samples to GitHub. That means that we're going to submit a real pull request, and it's a real credit opportunity for you to learn how to work with GitHub, submit a pull request, understand even what a pull request is, but start submitting those samples to the community, or using the samples, or collaborating with others on doing both. It is absolutely free. We've got a session scheduled next Monday, June 24th, 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. We will be scheduling more as well. So all you got to do is go to ak.ms/sharingiscaring, and we will get you signed up. It is absolutely free, and it's a wonderful opportunity. And I mentioned it's a real contribution. So what does that mean? That means that if you also sign up for our community recognition program, you will get a badge. Now, these are real and accredited badges powered by Credly. What's fantastic is it's associated to you. It shows the work that you're doing in the community, going above and beyond what maybe your normal job is. So what value is that? Well, because they are official and accredited, you can put them on your LinkedIn profile, put them on your Twitter account, your blog. You can put them on your resume. You can stick them on the fridge. Mom loves them. She's going to put a gold star next to it, and so are we. But in all reality, it also shows your bosses, maybe your clients, that you're more involved and you're taking the next step to showcase the work that you're doing in the community. And it's our way of saying thank you, get back involved, and provide a recognition for the work that you're doing that you don't have to, but we appreciate so much. So all you got to do, ak.ms/community/recognition will allow you to opt in. We just need you to do that once. It doesn't need to be an annual thing or anything like that. We will track you from GitHub at that point, and we will provide those badges. And we definitely are going to be putting more out. We've got a multiverse contributor coming out. We've got a summer of samples coming out with Hugo Bernier and the rest of the team. So we're excited about some new badges coming out soon. And of course, all of our wonderful ones at the end of the year, things like, the end of the year ones, the cornucopias. April and I had a Power Platform Pie one, right? So there's some very cool things. Definitely get involved. It's a fun way to get involved. All right, what are some upcoming community shows and events? Well, we've got TechCon has passed in Seattle, but we've got coming up in August, DC, as well as Dallas in November. That's Microsoft 365 and Power Platform conferences. So definitely check those out. And of course, Vegas, baby. I know we don't all love Vegas, but we love to go to Power Platform Conference, which is in Vegas. So get registered if you haven't already. It's going to be a wonderful opportunity to collaborate. That is a picture of Charles that was in the big arena for the keynote, which is epic and an experience that you do not want to miss. So get involved, sign up. Lots of your favorite Community collaborators are going to be there. Shane is going to be there. I'm going to be there a lot. April's likely going to be there, and a lot of the teams that are across the community and Microsoft. So get involved and get signed up, and we'll look forward to seeing you there. But of course, that's not it. There are lots of events coming up throughout June and July, all of which can be accessed at communitydays.org. And as ak.ms/community days will give you access to that information. So check it out. If you are running a community event, you can have it listed there, which is a great opportunity to get some exposure because it's becoming the landing spot. So definitely go check that out. All right. Now, I guess it is now time for what? Picture time. So let's get those fantastic faces showing, get the camera turned on. I will switch over to together mode and bring up Camtasia. And I will bring that over and hopefully together mode is working. Look at that. Love it. All right. And things are looking pretty clear today. Excellent. Okay. All right. Fess is doing it right. He's doing the hand wave. Excellent. I think we might have room for, got a couple more coming in. Let's do it. Everybody get that camera turned on. I see Stephanie. I see Kat. I see Don. Excellent. Okay. Let's kick this recording off here. 3, 2, 1. Woo. All right, everybody. Wave to the community. You're doing amazing. We appreciate everything that you're doing. You look fantastic. Wonderful to see everybody here today. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you all for being such amazing contributors. Okay, well, without any further ado, let's get into the demo time. So we're going to kick it off with Angeliki. She's going to show how to build complex forms and views in Power Pages. So Angeliki, whenever you're ready, feel free to take on over the screen.
Sounds good. That energy that you have though, David, I cannot match it. It's amazing.
No, I thank you. But so are you.
Oh, bless you. Okay, so do we have full screen live and going?
It is, I'm seeing white, but there we go. Okay, yeah, throw that into presentation mode and you are on your way. Teams is just a little laggy today. Looks great.
Yeah. Awesome. It's in presentation mode, right?
Yeah, yep. I can see it now. Yep.
Fantastic. So super excited to be back. Last time was a little bit more eventful, but I'm so glad to be back. We're going to maintain the Marvel Cinematic Universe theme, but this time we're moving a little bit away from the Avengers, going into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So for anyone who's a fan, big shout out. And we're going to look at how we can build complex forms and views in Power Pages, just like you'd have out of the box in Dynamics. So before we go into this detail, let me share a little bit about myself. So my name is Angeliki Patsiavou. I work in Avanade, and as you can see, I have a little bit of an interesting accent. So I've been living in the UK for the last 11 years, so it's very much home, but I'm Greek-Italian, hence the varied accent. I'm also an MVP in business applications here in the UK, as well as a certified change practitioner from ProSci. And you may wonder, how do these two go together? Well, let me tell you something. I'm a bit of a hybrid. So I started my career early on in CRM. So I speak, breathe, and love CRM. And I've started in digital marketing, then moved into change management, eventually in the lovely world of functional architecture. So what I do love doing is building solutions and bringing all that to life. I'm also very active in the Microsoft community. I love speaking, engaging with all of you, blogging. My blog, empoweredhumans.net. Thank you to everyone who's supporting. It's a great outlet for sharing content, but also in a very authentic way. And because what I've always been passionate about is the human impact of the tech that we built. So I kind of coined the term human evangelist, similar to how you have all the amazing tech evangelists, all the amazingly technical people in the room. Someone else who's going to talk about why are we building what we're building and why are we having that kind of deep human impact. Some of my socials are there, so I would love to connect with all of you. Now, you may wonder, why are we even talking about this? Complex forms in Power Pages, views, isn't that more or less out of the box? Like, where's the complexity coming from? So let me tell you a story about why Dynamics 365 or generally model-driven apps are special. So what we find out of the box is that when we look at views, like very standard views, We tend to find that this is an out-of-the-box feature. You can, have a filter view of all sorts of data. You can open the rows, interact with them, and as you open them, they can be pretty complex. So super rich functionality. You can have all sorts of tabs. You can interact with data. You can add subgrids, lookups, all sorts of components, and it's fairly awesome, fairly out of the box. But when we move into Power Pages, we do notice that the functionality is not necessarily out of the box itself. So practically, if we think from a views perspective, which means we're going to use lists to portray this, there's a bit of a, let's say, limitation. So what we're going to see later in the demo, they can only be connected to three things. It's either a basic form, which, by the way, basic form can only contain one tab. It can be a web page or a URL, which is pretty much websites. And with that in mind, makes you wonder, how are we going to create this functionality if we want to have the views opening up rows with multi-tabular data? So that's where we come in. And we're going to hack the system like we were an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Let's look at the requirements. So as an agent, remembering the previous demo that I did where we had Event 365 as an app supporting the Avengers preparing for battle and managing all the villains, the protected city, all the cool superheroes. Similarly, and these are very much CRM backend users, S.H.I.E.L.D. agents in this case are end users, front-end users, in fact. They're going to be using Power Pages to support the Avengers as and when. So essentially, they need a portal where they can view all of the battles that the Avengers have faced in the past, as well as what's coming up currently and in the future. Now, with that in mind, we want each row to hold data that the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent can open and see all the relevant tabs. So we very much want to go down the multi-tabular view path. And with that in mind, we want to have some permissions in place and some customization. So if the record is for a past battle, so it's very much done and dusted, then we want it read-only. But if the battle is about the present or the future, then very much we want to be able to also edit it. We want to be able to see all the tabs, interact with all the rich functionality. And of course, because we as agents want to support the Avengers as much as we can, we also want to add new battles should they come our way first. So how are we going to translate this into a recipe for success? Let's visualize this first as our ingredients, and then we're going to go straight into the demo to see it in practice. So first of all, as we said, we want to view. To do that, we're going to create a list. And this list, we have three types of actions. We want to be able to create new records, as in new battles. We want to be able to view details, as in read the details of any kind of battle, whether it's a present or a past record. And we also want to edit the battles, as in the records that have not closed yet. Now, this filtering will make sure that we see everything to begin with, but then the interactions with the data will change. In order to create a new battle record, we're going to keep it simple. The basic form will do the job because we are very happy with a single tab. However, and this is where we start hacking the system, because we need to have a multi-tabular view, we go into the fantastic world of multi-step forms. So this is where we're going to build two different multi-step forms, one for editing data, one for reading data, because you guessed it, one cannot allow us to interact with it, just view the details. And the way multi-step forms work is that each tab is called a step, and thus, because our records need to have three tabs, thus each form, each multi-step form, we have 3 steps. The other part of the hack that we need to consider is that, as we remember, a list, when we create actions, can only be engaged with either a basic form, a web page, or a URL. And this is where we bring web pages into the picture. We're going to make sure that our multi-step forms are hosted with web pages. Now, because we're creating web pages from scratch, we want to make sure that also we have the right navigation to go back to our main page and generally interact with our portal. Just a quick one on the data model as well, in terms of everything that we'll be interacting with that you'll see materialize in terms of permissions. So our main record is a battle, which if you were thinking of out of the box, maybe Dynamics 365, maybe you can call it an opportunity, even though this is very much a bespoke app. Our version of contact is the Avengers, and we are creating for now a many-to-many relationship for that. because our Avengers are busy. They could be in multiple battles at the same time. We have protected cities, which is our version of an account with a many-to-one relationship. We have villains. That's a completely custom table. And our villains are equally busy. They sometimes portal to different battles at once, hence many-to-many relationships. Based on the previous demo, we have our battle checklist, another custom table to hold our automations for battle prep and management. And of course, we have a currency table. That's the out-of-the-box currency table. Now, a little bit of a fun one. Supporting the Avengers is not an easy job. Like, they are amazing. They're superheroes. It's not simple, but that does not mean the way we do Power Pages cannot be. There's so many features that if we get intimate with the product, really understand what's available out of the box, we can make some pretty cool things happen. And yes, this is a pun. You may remember from last time as well. I was lucky enough a few months ago to visit the filming location for the Avengers training headquarters. And after multiple attempts of trying to look like I'm flying, I managed it. So absolutely a fun picture to include. So let's go straight into the demo. How about that? So let me switch to the other screen. Let me know when you can see my browser.
It is loading or trying to load. And yes, it's loaded.
Fantastic. So let's start off with the app first, just to refresh our memory on the very basic functionality that we want to recreate in Power Pages. So out of the box, we know that either Dynamics 365 or any model-driven app gives us very easily configurable and extendable views. In this case, we have a view called All Battles. We want to see both current and past battles that the Avengers are tackling. And in this case, we also have different columns that we want to see in terms of interacting with the data before we open up each row. So these are very much something we can interact with. How do we bring this into Power Pages? So to begin with, we need to remember that we have this view, the All Battles view that we are going to be using. That's one of our ingredients. Then we did promise that we're going to work on some forms. So since we're going to have 3 actions, and we're going to have to build a minimum of 2 or 3 forms. Now, I wanted to keep it simple. So to do that, I created 2 forms rather than 3, and I'll tell you why. When we are creating a new record, we said we're happy with a single tab. And when we're editing a record, we want the full 3 tabs, but ultimately those fields are open regardless. So I kind of hacked it by saying I'm going to have a single form to tackle both. And I do like adding that the form is about the portal, so I can separate it from my main forms from the app. So this is what I've specified. That's one of our forms. So all of the fields, all the rich functionality is there and it's open. And the other element is having a read-only form for the portal. This is when we have battles that have concluded and we don't want to show the record as being open and thus editable. So these are the 2 ingredients we want from the Maker portal. And the rest we start building as we go. So let's go to the Design Studio. Now we're going to work a little bit backwards, and instead of going straight away and creating the list that we can see here, we're going to build like a Lego the ingredients first. So we said we're first going to need a basic form. This is for the very simple action where we're going to have a new record created, a new battle record. So here we have created a new one, new battle basic form. It's super simple actually. So as long as we have the form I showed you earlier, we're going to use that. And what are we being asked? We're asked for a name. We're asked for the entity name, the table name, easy. Then we're going to be asked what form we'll be using. So in this case, it's this particular one, create an edit battle form portal. And then we're going to be asked about the tab. As I said, it's perfectly okay to use this even though we're only using 1 tab because you're selecting it anyway. So, you know, hitting 2 birds with 1 stone, choosing your website. This is an insert one. And That is all that it is for the basic form. That is super simple. The fun starts when we start building the multi-step forms. Now, there's all sorts of things to remember about multi-step forms because you're building the steps. So I'm going to show you how we did the edit one, but ultimately the read one, as in for editing or reading only details, it's exactly the same. The only difference is you're connecting to different forms from the Maker portal because ultimately one is read only, one is completely editable. So let's see the ingredients behind this. So you have a few things here that you're being asked. Very simple on the first step. So the general tabs just ask you for a name. You're going to put your website. In this case, it's called Shield Declassified. And then the meaty part is in the form steps. So you can add them from here. And the idea is that you add each tab as a step. So for example, the summary tab, which is meant to be our first tab, and you might have noticed this is what I've added as a start step in the beginning of the form. It's asking us for a few different things. So we want to make sure we're connecting it to the right form, the right tab, then connecting it to the next step as well once they've all been created. And of course, making sure you're in the right tab. So as you iterate this process, you end up with the different steps. A bit of a thing to remember, though, is that if you have richer functionality, there's two implications. If, for example, you're creating a subgrid, you have to work a little bit harder to create that there. Otherwise, it looks like a static table. And the other thing is richer functionality means related tables, which means children permissions. And we're going to look at that in a bit. So now that we have seen more or less how the multi-step form works, we also need to include a web page to host it because the web page is the link back to the list. So to do that, we are going to create a web page, which you can either create here or directly into Design Studio. But ultimately, remember, if you did from here, it's a shell. You still need to configure it back into the Design Studio. And how that looks like if we go to the Design Studio is that we're going to have a blank page that is going to have our main styling sheet. And then we are going to add a multi-step form component. So obviously, because we've configured the multi-step form already, it's just about enabling it. And once we do that, it's super important that we add a button for navigation at a minimum. Add your heart content, make it even more complex if you'd like. But the reason is that this is a standalone page. It's great if you open up from the list a record, but how are you going to get back to the list or anywhere else unless you refer to the tab at the top? So at a minimum, I added this, which takes us to the main list. And we iterate the same for the read-only form as well. Essentially, they exist on their own, but they interact with the list. Now that we've done that, we are ready to build the list because we've had our components. Now, when we're building the list in Power Pages Management, we are bringing all these components together, the basic form, the multi-step forms, through the web pages and whatnot, through a key thing, which is the Options tab in the list from Power Pages Management, and you do it through grid configuration. Now, there's three actions, as we said, that we want to have. We want to have the ability to create new records, and this is why we have a basic form for new battles. We want to have the ability to read only records if they are past completed battles, and hence we have a web page for the existing multi-step form for read-only records, and similarly for edit ones. The final ingredient, once we've done this, is our table permissions. So it's super important that we remember we have a lot of relationships here for our rich functionality. So we're going to tackle two things, basic and child permissions. So once we've done our lovely list, and there's many ways to do permissions, by the way. Let's remember security workspace, super exciting functionality to make sure everything is in there. So as you can see here, we have our basic permissions, we have our basic table, we are making sure that we have read, update, and create based on the main functionality of the list, and then append and append to because of our relationships. Our child permissions is where all the tables from the data model I showed you will come in. No need for roles there, that's all flowing through. And once you've done that, let's see what we got. So this is Shield Declassified. As an agent, you're welcome to your brand new portal. We are logged in as one of the top agents, which is Maria Hill, and we are ready to support the Avengers. So let's get straight into that and see what our work has brought us. So here I can see there is a list that has been populated. I have access to both old and current Avenger battles. I can create a new battle if I have some intelligence, and I can submit that. Of course, I can collaborate in the backend with the Avengers, so it's all real time. If I'm going to look at an old battle, yeah, no problem. I click on View Battle Details. I'm going to be redirected to my web page, and then I can go through the different tabs. Once I'm ready, I've looked at all the data. Maybe I want to go back to the list. Maybe I want to start updating an existing battle because I have some new intel I need to help Tony with. So this is where I can see my multi-step form is now open. All my rich functionalities here. So for example, my lookups are here. If I go to the next tab, I see my subgrid is going to be functioning in the rich way that I know a subgrid does. Hence why I said, please do configure that as such. And again, once I'm ready, back to the list. So as you can see, there's a lot of different ingredients that we can bring together out of the box. So no need to worry about Liquid, JavaScript, and so forth. And I do invite you to see the step-by-step creation of all of this in the blog that I'll be sharing with you as well. It has screenshots, everything you need to know to build all of this. And I would love your thoughts, comments, feedback as well, because it's been lovely to share it with you.
Awesome stuff, Angeliki. Are you going to show your last slide, or do you?
Yes, I'm going to go back to that. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
There we go.
It's got QR codes for everybody. So yeah, we got links in the chat too. We'll include in the show notes as well.
Get your phones out. We got 2 QR codes. You got my link tree here. So on the left, the scan that you'll find all of my socials, the blog, Generally Empowered Humans, anything you need to know. And then of course on the right, you have the QR code for the blog post itself that I just showed you, step by step, prime quality screenshots and guidance to build all of this in your own solutions. So I can't wait to hear back from you. Thank you so much again for the opportunity, Dave, and everyone.
Excellent. Thank you, Angeliki. And I'll echo what Sumit said in the chat. Brilliant. It is absolutely awesome. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, everybody, we've got 2 upcoming first-time presenters on the call. So let's show them all of the community support and love we know we can. We're going to kick it off with Devendra on environment routing groups and rules, along with extending Starter Kit to automate managed environments creation. So, Devendra, show us what you got.
Thanks, David. Thanks, everyone. Hello. So I'll be talking about environment routing groups, rules, and extending Starter Kit automation. So before I go and start with the topic, this is about me. I'm currently working as Power Platform Architect at Rio Tinto, mostly helping business users, enabling and building solutions using Power Platform. I'm quite passionate about that particular topic, mostly focusing on governance and administration, and then I blog at myfullname.com. So if you want to check out content related to the administration and governance. And why environment routing? If you look at a lot of business users, they hear about Power Platform. Maybe they might have watched videos of Shane and Reza, some of the other folks. And then they go to make.powerapps.com, maker portal, and they'll end up in default environment. Now, in this particular picture, you got only 3 people who are just building solutions, and they are in the default environment. And the thing with this one is no one knows they're all in default environment, because most of the times when someone's starting out Power Platform, they never look at which environment they are in, but then they start building solutions, and then some of them will be pretty cool, and they go and share with a lot of other people, right? They get excited and they want to share with their team members, or even sometimes for the whole organization. So at the beginning, it all looks great. Most of the company starts with few users. Let's say in this particular example, you got 10 people started with Power Platform, and they just got, example again, 100 applications. Not too many, you think, which is good. But then after a few years, what happens is number of users building those solutions will be increasing because they get to know like how awesome Power Platform and how they're building solutions, and they'll tell other people, they will tell other people, which means more people will start building solutions. And with Copilot and AI available right now, it's going to go much towards the other side, which is great. But again, all these people who are starting with our platform, again, building solutions in default environment, all of them, maybe 100 people, in future 1,000 people, all of them doesn't know they are actually going into default environment. So what's happening here when thousands of applications getting built and all of them may not be shared with many people, right? Someone just start with Power Platform and trying to build those solutions, and many of them potentially not go live, as in like die, unused apps and flows, a lot of other applications, and also there won't be any control, like as in to whom they could share with. And it's a big challenge for admin if you got one admin or maybe few people managing Power Platform as in whole, right? So solution, Microsoft listened to the challenges that people are sharing with, and especially the admins and Power Platform owners. So they come up with a solution called environment routing. And what happens when you enable this particular feature, each of these maker will now, again, they don't know, they get a developer environment, again, without noticing, right? This is all happening in the backend that is being done by system, and each of them will get developer environment. So now they'll still go ahead and build solutions, but it's in one particular environment. And then all these environments will be grouped, which is called environment group. So you got a big basket now. All of them is within that basket. So what does it mean is, for all those environments, you can basically apply rules. So that's where you got predefined set of rules. One of them is sharing controls. So within the sharing controls of Canvas apps, you can say you are in developer environment now or development environment. You can't share with many people. So you can just set it to 2 people. So that means those applications that people are building, they can't share with other people, which is great. Now, the next thing would be usage insights. That means you can basically see if they got any Power Automate flows, as in like some of them could be, I have seen many cases where business users, again, a lot of people are learning. So flow would be running based on update action, and there would be one more update that could be running. So I have seen instances, it's like, again, without noticing, they would be building solutions. So you want to catch those using usage insights. And then one of the most important rule for me is maker welcome content. A lot of times when you get into the environment or open maker.portal, you don't know exactly what you need to do. There was always options sending emails to people, but then a lot of people ignore emails from IT, right? Whereas in maker welcome content exactly tells them, okay, you are in developer environment and you need to follow these restrictions. There are a few more rules like solution checker enforcement, backup retention, and AI generated descriptions, but they are still in preview, a couple of them. But few rules itself is quite good and important if you wanted to leverage environment routing. Now, you know why and what, but how you're going to do it. It's a 3-step process, but one of the step will be done by the system. So in the step 1, you'll be updating the tenant settings and enabling developer environments. So that's what you do. Sorry. The second one is actually enabling the environment routing, and the system will potentially, further apply the rules on those environments. So before you make those changes, you got few prerequisites, and that is called the environment group, where all the developer environments will be grouped together, which is of type developer environments. as in all of them will be using Dataverse and also enabled as managed. Right? So you need to create a group and then provide a description. And once the environment routing starts, all of them get added here. And then on top of this particular group, there would be rules. So you can configure few rules, at least minimum one. So I would start with just sharing controls and maybe maker welcome content if you want to start. So those are pretty good and help you to get started with using those particular features, right? But there are other few things which are in preview, like I said, so you could leverage them as well. Now, once you set the prerequisites, the first step would be enabling developer environments at tenant level. So where most of the times, if you have a tenant, it would be only for specific admins. You might not be enabling them, but for environment routing, you should enable it for everyone. And then once that is done, the next step would be environment routing itself, where you got the developer environment assignments enabled. And then the next step would be within the environment routing, decide whether you want to do it for everyone or new makers only. So I would start with new makers only if you haven't started using environment routing rather than all makers. So that means new makers is someone within the Power Platform where they haven't built any solutions yet. And then you'll be using the environment group you created. And finally, the security group. So in this case, I just, it's in my dev tenant. So I set it to none. But ideally, you want to create a security group which says environment routing security group, or you could call it anything you want, but maybe few test users and then test it how environment routing works. So once you do this configuration, and then system will automatically apply the rules that you have enabled previously, right? Now, once everything is enabled, you see that you have all the environments that get created, which is of managed, right? So this is all great, but how you are going to use or potentially deploy these to next test or production environments. So you want to manage these applications, and you don't want to use some other tools. But there are options, but it would be good to use something which is inbuilt, right? So that's where Power Platform pipelines is going to be much more useful. One of the requirements for the pipelines is managed environments, or whether target environments which could be test or the prod, both needs to be managed environment. So what you can do is you can go ahead and extend the starter kit. So I have created a solution which potentially uses an API for which you can send environment ID. So if you don't know starter kit is basically helping you to automate a lot of stuff and also provide insights. So one of the option here is using the environment request app that could automate the environment request creation. So it also uses the flow, which is having a child flow that we have just shown. You could run that particular flow, right? So quickly, I'm just jumping to the demo. So whenever you create an environment, that will become a not managed by default. So you can see it's a no. But then this is the solution I was talking about where I got a child flow. And so we got the starter kit COE command center app. So this is the one that you could give access to your makers using which they could request different set of environments. So here I got a couple of them which are in the pending state. So once they submit the request, you got one more app which is for the admins, and they can look at each and every request, and then potentially go ahead and okay, come on, thinking, yeah, you could approve or reject that particular request. So what this one does, once you approve it, it kicks on the flow, which is the main flow. And within that flow, there is the section which will create the environment and set the roles and everything. There is a section where I'm calling the child flow, which would call this one. So there is a delay as part of this particular child flow, because when you provision the environment, it does need some time. So then, which will call the API within the child flow, which uses the HTTP request action, and then that provisions the managed environment. Yeah, once you the environment got provisioned successfully, you get a notification. Of course, you could customize this one as well. Yep. That's all from me. Thank you.
Awesome, Devendra. Excellent job. Good stuff, everybody. He's got some blog posts and everything, so I've added that into the chat. We'll put it in the show notes for those watching on demand at home after the fact. But thank you, Devendra. Great job. Really, really good job. Again, everybody, Devendra's first time on the community call. Really rocked it out. And upcoming, we've got another first-time presenter, Anna. Anna Black is here to talk about UX in the model-driven apps, the good, the bad, the ugly. So, Anna, take it on over.
Thank you. Thank you. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep, it's showing up. Looks great.
Okay, amazing, amazing. Let me just start. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Anna Black, and for the last session of today, I have the user experience in model-driven apps for you. And just like in the old Western movie, I will take you through the Wild West with the good, the bad, and the ugly. So let's go. A few words about me. I work for a Microsoft partner as a lead D365 consultant, and I love anything and everything Power Platform and user experience related. So I'm writing about them on my Power Platform cookbook blog. If you want to visit it, scan the QR code that I'm sharing with you. And I also invite you to connect with me, especially on LinkedIn, as recently I post quite a lot of content there. And if you want a copy of my slides, you will find them on my GitHub after this call. So as a quick intro for the benefit of those who do not work directly with Power Apps or are not familiar with the user experience, I want to explain the key concept. So many people actually think that UX and UI are the same, but that isn't correct. In simple terms, the UX is about the user's journey to solve a problem, while the UI is what the user sees when they are solving the problem, so the app's visuals. When it comes to the Power Apps, we have two types: the Canvas apps, which offer full control over the layout and design and allow to highly customize the user experience. The model-driven apps, however, focus more on data and provide a standard user interface with limited customization. But even with that limited UI customization, we still can do a few things to optimize the UX in the model-driven apps, and I would like to share my approach on that with you. So let's start with what the good looks like for the forms. So well-designed forms can enhance user experience and satisfaction. You can achieve that by doing a few things. So place the frequently accessed data on the first tab and rest of the fields on the subsequent tabs. Use the multi-section tabs instead of multi-column section, as the form's reflow behavior works better. Thanks to that, the section will reflow beneath each other instead of fields being resized. Also, implement consistent tab structures. So I recommend using 3 columns tab for complex form and 2 columns for simple ones. Using the sections helps to create a visual hierarchy, which will assist users to digest extensive data more easily. Also, always aim for consistency in the name fields across all the tables and forms. Either use the sentence styles or capitalize each word. The good practice is also to add descriptions to your fields, as they work as tooltips for the users. and use business rules to hide and show fields or to create conditions for making any fields required. And personally, I never use the out-of-the-box forms, but create copies of them that protects the users from any unwanted updates, especially for any Dynamics native apps. I also like to add a reference panel to my forms to bring multiple subgrids all together that are easily accessible via icons placed next to each other. That creates a smooth navigation experience. And you can see an example of a reference panel on my slide. So on the other hand, it's a bad practice to overload forms with data-driven controls like subgrids, timeline, or lookups. They affect the form loading speed, which negatively impacts the UX. So limit the use of them, or at least avoid placing them on the first tab. Also, inconsistent layouts and overcomplicated business process flows look bad for the UX. So my other tip is about the timeline. By default, the timeline shows 10 activity record, but you can adjust that via the classic interface to better use up the space and limit the excessive scrolling. And moving on to the ugly, so poorly designed forms with unnecessary required fields and unused legacy data can really frustrate the users and hinder productivity. So for example, consider hiding the related tab, as it can be confusing for some of the users. I find that the out-of-the-box capitalized section names are quite ugly. They are harder to read and draw too much attention from the users. However, you can use the easy translator tool to quickly update them. And always try to leverage quick create forms for the initial record creation instead of forms with multiple required fields. What about the navigation? It's a good practice to organize your sitemap into logical areas, like for example, a main area and settings. You can also implement easier navigation for the user by enabling collapsible groups. Always create a quick access to the frequently used tables and dashboards, and also add URLs to help user to easily open a related system, like for example, FinOps. What is bad then? As shown on the example here, using a single area only with ungroup and lengthy navigation looks quite bad. It can cause excessive scrolling and frustrate the users. Also, it is quite ugly for me to make the user navigate via other tables or use advanced find to find the key records, as they are not included in the main navigation for quick access. Moving on to the icons. So the icons play a vital role in the visual appeal of the app UI. Create a good user experience by updating the custom table icons. Not everyone knows, but you can also use the color icons in the model-driven apps. However, be mindful of your selection, as mixing different styles of icons such as color and monochrome or empty and filled icons can create an inconsistent and disjointed appearance. And although I do love puzzles, I find the default puzzle icons as quite ugly, because if you leave them in, user cannot benefit from the collapsible navigation, as they won't be able to differentiate the tables by their unique icons. Let's cover the views. So well-crafted views will empower users to efficiently navigate and access crucial data. My tip is to always use short and self-explanatory view names. Also, using consistent column ordering across all the views will help the user with familiarity and harmony. Adding charts will also enhance the filtering capabilities. And when you create also, you can create dashboards with the frequently used views for easy access. And on the contrary, it's a bad experience when users do not have views to support them to find information, or when the views contain too many columns, causing excessive scrolling. Also, there is no need to include columns, for example. Also, there is no need to include certain columns. So, for example, removes the status column when the view is called active accounts. And on the slide, you can see an example of a very long list with out-of-the-box views for the opportunity table. So always review them with the user and aim to limit the long list. Next on my list are the PCFs, and I really like to use them to enhance UX, as they can help to improve data visualization and also user engagement. In fact, there is a phenomenon in the UX where users perceive aesthetically pleasing designs and more usable. However, do not overuse the PCFs. Too many can slow down your app, which will create a bad experience. Also, be mindful of the selection. It looks ugly when you mix PCFs with a different look and feel, as it creates inconsistency. And on the slide, you can see a few examples of the Microsoft PCFs, which come with full support. So make sure that make sure that any other PCF that you choose are also supported, and they won't cause any user issues leading to bad or even ugly experience. So for the good command bars, always create clutter-free experience and hide options that are not needed. When adding custom buttons, which will, for example, trigger automation, do not leave users without any progress message. That can confuse them and leave them unsure of the system responsiveness. It is also ugly to hide the key options under the ellipses, while the unused buttons take up the main space. Security roles can be your best friends, so use them as a strategic tool to refine UX. Multiple versions of the same form can confuse users, so use the security roles to only show the forms, views, or dashboard that are built for specific user group. And again, I tend to not rely too much on the native apps or out-of-the-box roles. They might allow access to unnecessary features and take the user focus elsewhere. So always aim to properly define and update those roles. And adding Canvas app can also really enrich the experience. So use Canvas apps for improved search or record creation capabilities. But remember about harmony in the visual integration. So similarly to the PCFs, avoid inconsistent UI design, as that can lead to a disjointed experience. And embedding Canvas app, they are not that not every user has access to, can result in confusing error messages and frustrating experiences. So carefully manage permissions to provide a seamless user experience. Last on my list is the use of AI. So absolutely stay ahead of the trends and leverage the AI-powered features such as generated summaries, process guidance, or intelligent suggestions to provide valuable support to the users. But remember to be subtle about any UX enhancements with AI. It can be a bit of a gamble to use an excessive number of AI tools, and it can be confusing and overwhelming for the users and lead to very poor UX. So my last advice is to complement, not complicate your model-driven apps with too many AI-driven features. So if you join my tips and you are looking for more UX and UI related content, I have an exciting announcement for you. So I teamed up with the incredible Kat Schneider and the great Charlie Sexton, and we launched a new user group, Power Platform UX UI Allies. We already lined up some amazing speakers, and we invite you to present as well. And since we have number 11 in our name, we will be hosting all our events on the 11th day of each month. That will help you to remember it more easily. Can you see that? It's all about the user experience with the three of us. We are hosting our first meeting next month, so on the 11th of July. You can scan the QR code for more info and to sign up for the session. we really look forward to your participation, and thank you so much for attending my session.
Anna, that was incredible. So great. Thank you very, very much for coming to present today. Again, everybody, this was Anna's first presentation on the call, but I mean, beautiful me. You all today were amazing. Angeliki, Devendra, and Anna, fantastic stuff. Really cannot show how much we appreciate all that you bring each and every single month to these calls. So thank you, all three of you, rock stars. Okay, let's wrap the call up with some resources. We've got a number of resources, videos, as well as our community front door samples and forum opportunities on our community sites for you to interact with one another. So definitely check those out. We've got more community calls available to you. We've got our weekly M365 Empower Platform call with Microsoft speakers that is going on a break. So the first call is in the last call for the summer is in this week, next week, and then we'll be on a break, just like Ross and Rachel, right? We'll be on a break, but when we come back, after all red, we'll be each other's lobsters. And you're thinking, could he have more friends? Messages, right? Could he have? Okay, sorry, let's move on. We got Power Platform monthly call, which you're in right now, Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community, the bi-weekly and Viva Connection SharePoint framework. Tomorrow is the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community bi-weekly call, so definitely get invited to that. You can find all the invites at ak.ms/community/calls. Get those invites on your calendar. They are a great time as you've experienced today, and we welcome you all to each and every single call. And if you want to be like one of the cool kids and show your kids how awesome you are, if you're a parent, you can tell them, hey, I'm in my own little Discord server, sonny your daughter. But it is a great area and opportunity for you to communicate and collaborate with others in the community in this kind of one-stop shop. We've got a number of channels in that server that span the spectrum of all the wonderful things that we're doing in the community, and it's a great place to interact. We've got, I think, over 2,000 members now. So you could be the next one, and we invite each and every one of you. And of course, let us know how these calls are going. The feedback helps us generate the calls in a way that are valuable to each and every one of you. Also lets those at Microsoft know that they are valuable as well, and helps us provide resources to these calls from the community side as well as from within Microsoft. So check that out, fill that in. Even if you have already, we would love to hear the latest and greatest. So the recording of this will be available in 24 hours or less, maybe much less. We usually get it taken care of right away. If you are in the Teams call, you won't be able to download it unless you're part of that tenant. So it may result in tears of sadness and blue screens of death, and we don't want any of that. So go to ak.ms/community/YouTube, subscribe today, hit that like and subscribe, smash it button, and we will let you know as soon as it's available. Of course, you can always follow on Twitter or X Twitter or whatever it's called today and tomorrow at M365PNP and our LinkedIn group. Next call will be July 17th, 2024. Shane will be back. His kids start their game here in just a few minutes, so we wish him all the best. But you can get that download invite at ak.ms/Power Platform community calls. So again, check them all out at your leisure and get subscribed and signed up. Thank you, everybody, for being the best part of our community. We would not have these initiatives, projects, or opportunities without you. So have a great rest of your week. Hopefully we'll see you on tomorrow's call. And if not, have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.